So it's not the 1,100 that Donald Trump mentioned. You say it's more like 800 in total.
It's 800. That's what the figure is. Donald Trump and Governor Pence are taking credit for 350 jobs that are research and development jobs that were staying here in Indianapolis from the start. I think people would feel a lot better if our tax dollars were going to try to save a company maybe that was struggling.
By the way, that guy does a better professional wrestler voice than I do, but here's the thing. He was complaining about the jobs not being as many as Donald Trump said they were. Bottom line, the 700, 800, whatever you want to call them, that's more jobs than would have been saved had Donald Trump not intervened. Nevertheless, he upped his ante a little bit when he spoke to the Washington Post, and then added that Trump had lied his rhymes with ass off. All right? Then Donald Trump tweeted back, Chuck Jones, who was president of the United Steelworkers in 1999, has done a terrible job representing workers. No wonder companies flee the country. If United Steelworkers 1999 was any good, they would have kept those jobs in Indiana, spend more time working, less time talking, reduce dues. All right, we've got Tom Sullivan, Fox radio host extraordinaire, Washington Examiner Sarah Westwood, Indiana State AFL-CIO President Brett Voorhies. All right, so Brett, begin with you. It's a back and forth on this. To me, it's job saved or job saved, regardless of how many. You say what? As far as Brett,
go ahead. I'm sorry. No, I was just going to say, I mean, you know, the jobs that were saved, and we commend President-elect Trump for saving the jobs that he did say, but at the same time, you know, I think that, you know, there is falsehoods out there, and got many workers' hopes up high that their job was going to be saved as well. And he stood in the factory and Carrier here in Indianapolis and basically sat there and lied to the workers about saving some.
I mean, were over 700 jobs saved?
Well, he came in and said he was saving 1,100 jobs.
All right, well, I mean, he might not have known, right? I mean, the bottom line is those are 700-plus jobs that wouldn't have been saved, and 700-plus families that wouldn't be looking at a pretty Merry Christmas had he not intervened. We're kind of splitting hairs here.
Absolutely, and we commend him for those jobs that he did save.
It's a heck of a way to commend him.
For a year and a half, President-elect Trump has been campaigning on saving jobs from going either abroad or overseas, and said that under his watch that there will be no more offshoring of jobs, that we will keep jobs in the United States. If he has to put a 35% tariff on products coming in, that's what he will do. It will not happen on his watch. And we want to hold him to his word.
All right, well, bottom line, I should point out, and you know this, Brett, he is still a president-elect. He hasn't taken office yet. So Tom Sullivan, that alone is something I think some folks miss in this whole thing. What do you make of whether it's 700, 800, 1,100?
Look at Neil. I'm just an old bean counter. I put a pencil to this thing instead of a motion. And when you look at it, the average wage for these jobs that were saved, it's 800 jobs the number I got at $30 an hour. That's a $50 million annual payroll that stays in Indiana, stays in the United States. And the state of Indiana and the federal government take about a third of that. That's about $15 million. So net to the bottom line is about $35 million that winds up with take-home pay to the community. And so it's kind of the whole way that Chuck Jones, I guess, negotiates is he wants the whole loaf, not part of the loaf,
well,
not most of the loaf.
Well, to be fair to Chuck, as I will be to Brett here, I think what happened is someone must have gotten back to these guys. Brett, I don't know in your case. I suspect you're an honorable man, as I do Chuck Jones. But I think something happened, Sarah, along the way when they appear on a show like mine elsewhere, and all of a sudden their buddies or back at the union shop or even their bosses on the national level are saying, whoa, 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 you can't be saying something complimentary about a Republican just elected president of the United States. You have to dial that back. And I hope I'm wrong on that, but it would appear that in Mr. Jones's case, after appearing on this show, he goes, talks to the Washington Post, follow-up interviews, and with each one gets progressively nastier because I think someone got to him and said, are you nuts? You're complimenting a Republican.
Well, I mean, you know, President...
Go ahead. I want to hear, if I can, from Sarah on this, and I will get back to you. Go ahead.
There's just no way, politically speaking, to spin the Carrier deal as anything but a win for Donald Trump. It's no secret that labor unions were not behind Donald Trump in the primary and the general election, they were very much aligned with the left, and they have been for a long time. What Donald Trump is doing here with the carrier deal is twofold. One, he's making it economically uncomfortable for companies to leave the country, even before he has the power of the presidency. But two, he's making it socially and culturally uncomfortable for companies to leave the country. He's saying, if you're an executive who wants to slash American jobs, not only am I going to threaten you with a 35% tariff on your goods, but I'm going to make it so that you face the wrath of millions of people who are going to know
but do you think that's appropriate,
overseas.
Sarah, that he uses a bully pulpit that technically is not his yet until January 20th? Or do you find that okay?
I do find it okay. You know, it's signaling a fundamental shift from the Obama administration, who has treated this as an inevitability, not a challenge that can be overcome.
You know, Brett, let me ask you as a union guy, or maybe give this some perspective here. I know there's a difference between the leadership and the rank and file. More rank and file union workers, particularly in some of the battleground states like Pennsylvania, Ohio, Wisconsin, Michigan, voted for Donald Trump in numbers we've not seen a Republican enjoy since Ronald Reagan. And I'm wondering whether that is showing something here, where the union heads are one way and the rank and file is another.
No, absolutely. I mean, I totally admit that a lot of our rank and file members did support Donald Trump, and they still support Donald Trump. And myself, you know, I was brought up in a family to be able to respect our leaders, and that is one thing that myself that I will do. I mean, once he becomes president on January the 20th, you know, I will respect our leaders. I will pray for our leaders, because that's what I was brought up to do. I did an interview earlier today. My 11-year-old daughter.
It sounds like it's killing you here. Like you can't.
No, it's not killing me at all. I mean, I'm a man of faith, and I have a lot of respect for the position of whether it be the President of the United States Congress, or my local union president, Chuck Jones, who's been cyberbullied, by the way. And but I do pray for our leadership to make sure. I hope that President-elect Trump does, when he does take office, that he does do what he says, and that's keep jobs in America.
Tom, I want your final thought on that.
Look, this is a business deal, and I think when all is said and done, once we get a few years into this Trump administration, there's going to be a lot of Democrats and Republicans that will scratch their heads about what he does, because he's not doing a Republican deal, he's not doing ideology, he's doing a business deal. And it's good for the country, it's good for those workers, it's a net gain, and that, I think, is what a lot of people are going to have to watch it, be careful of their criticism, because he's going to do things that they like.